Okay.
Okay. Well, let's start. Good afternoon, and I don't know what time is it in all the other locations here. My name is Harald Egerer, for those who don't know me yet, and I am working for United Nations Environment Program and the Carpathian Convention. It's a big honor and pleasure for me to welcome all of you to this workshop, these discussions on empowering pastoralist women in mountain areas, navigating environmental and gender challenges as part of Consultation Day under the Commission on the Status of Women, number 68. We are here in the Vienna International Center, the seat of United Nations in Vienna. I see that many other locations are connected, so I don't know exactly to which or to how many other locations we are connected now, but it's quite impressive, let's say, infrastructure. And we also have some herders from the ground connected to this meeting. The meeting is sponsored by us from UNEP and the Carpathian Convention, and organized by the NGO Committee on the Status of Women Vienna, Mrs. Evelyn Dürrmeier, the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development Vienna, Mrs. Ingeborg Geier, and the Alliance of NGOs on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, Mrs. Anna Alvazzi, with the support of the European Academy Research, Eleonora Musco, and also the Carpathian Convention, Claudia Kurasch, over there. The sponsor, Alpine Convention, and partner, Alpine Convention, financially supported the participation of one speaker. So thank you also to the colleagues of the Permanent Secretariat of the Alpine Convention. On the topic, we all know that gender inequality is one of the main challenges to advance sustainable development on the world. And we know that women suffer more or most of the negative consequences of environmental deterioration and lack of a healthy environment, but cause less damage or contribute less to the negative impacts on the environment. We in the United Nations, and more specifically in UNEP, we work on gender issues, on policy, advocacy, for example, integrating gender considerations into environmental policies and projects, on research and data collection, on the gender dimensions of environmental issues, on capacity building to enhance the participation of women in environmental decision-making and leadership, partnerships and collaboration with governments, civil society, all types of organizations, other UN agencies, and so on, again, to mainstream gender in all activities and dimensions. Awareness raising to highlight the importance of gender equality for environmental sustainability. And I believe that this workshop or this consultations is part of such awareness raising. And also promoting women's leadership. We support initiatives that promote women's leadership and participation. And again, I believe that our gathering today is an example of what we can try to do at the international level. Today is about pastoralist women that are very important for our societies, for local economies, for ecological and environmental aspects, but also for economical considerations. We have been working on that for quite some time in the mountain world, and already in 2017, together with the Alpine Convention, we organized a flagship conference on the role of women in mountain regions. again sponsored by UNEP and the Carpathian Convention. And since then, we have been working to highlight the women's multiple roles in mountain areas during a number of international events, research projects, such as with the Regional Academy of the United Nations system, RAUN, and UNEP projects that we have in mountain regions. I mentioned ones that we do here from the Vienna office, the Vanishing Treasures program, or the Adaptation at Altitude projects dealing with climate change and environment. And also already last year, a very nice event, the precursor of this one, as a consultation day under the Commission on the Status of Women. The Carpathian Convention itself works on pastoralism. We are preparing for the International Year of Pastoralism 2026. We are actively trying to promote and preserve Carpathian pastoral-related practices. For example, by inscribing or promoting future inscription of Carpathian pastoral-related practices into the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List of Humanity. And we also look forward at this consultation specifically to listen or to see the insights from our speakers from Hungary and Romania that are going to report to us from the realities from the ground in the Carpathian region. So this said, we have a really packed agenda, and I don't want to extend on my side further, but we are really looking forward to discuss and learn a lot more about environmental and gender issues faced by pastoralist women in the Alps, in the Carpathians, in the Western Balkans, in Caucasus, Pyrenees and Apennines, to quote the mountain regions that we have, I think, represented. And I'm really excited also that we have some shepherdesses and some herders connected now to this meeting. I think that's really innovative. So I'm quite excited, and I'm really looking forward to this session. With this introduction, I would like to invite my main co-organizer and somehow the women leader of this whole initiative, Mrs. Evelyn Dürrmeier from NGO Committee on the Status of Women, Vienna, to please address us. I understand that Evelyn is already in New York and is going to speak online. Yeah. So Evelyn, please take the floor. That you are still muted. We cannot hear you in a moment. Can you try to check your sound, please? We are going to wait for you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Very good.
Okay, thank you. A very warm welcome from New York. It's about 9:30. It's sunny. It's crazy weather here in New York. It's very cold in the morning and very warm in the late afternoon. So I think this temperature issue is also probably a main issue for pastoralist women, because they have not only to take care of the landscape, but also for their animals they are taking care of. So it's, yes, so it's very important to have, what's the problem?
Participants, if you could mute your microphones, because we had some feedback. So Evelyn, there was some sound, but we can hear you very well. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So I was speaking about these temperature differences here in New York in the morning and in the evening. So I think this is also an issue for the pastoralist women in their work when they are in charge of the landscape and of the animals they are taking care of. So I'm very happy that we managed to organize this event, and I wish you a great success, As you know, I have to leave because I have a meeting with special rapporteurs here in New York. They are organizing an event. So all the best for this meeting. And it's very exciting that we have so many shepherds from all around Europe. And yes, this is what I hope, that we continue our good cooperation like last year, also next year. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Evelyn Dürrmeier. Of course, also for your warning words regarding the reality of climate change. Also in Austria, this February 2023 was the warmest February since the beginning of measurements of temperature in Austria, more than 200 years ago. So please don't believe the disinformation and gossip in the village pub, because 99.5% of all scientific studies show that we have to face this reality wherever we go from now on. Now we have almost 100 participants. We are really excited. We have a packed agenda, so we really need to basically keep the timekeeping very strict. Do we need to speak about technical aspects?
No, it's fine.
Okay, and so I would like to go already to our first speaker, and I would like to invite Mrs. Francesca Passetti, European Focal Point for International Year of Pastoralism, to speak to us about the International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralism Global Integrative Pastoralism Project. So please, Francesca, take the floor, and please stick to your 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
I will talk about the International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralism. Wait a minute, I will take off my, oops, sorry. I wanted that you see more. Okay. So in March 2022, United Nations General Assembly declared the 2026 International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralists. And this was thanks to the government of Mongolia, who proposed this resolution 2019, supported by more than 100 countries, and it was approved in 2022. And there is FAO who is facilitating and implementation this. So why do we need an International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralism? Of course, to let know as much as possible the importance of pastoralism in general. So here you have a list of activities up and during IRRP. I will not go into the details. You have all the information in the website of International Year of Rangeland and Pastoralism. I just will show the most important points. We have 10 working groups, as you can appreciate, in which one is on gender and the other on mountain. And on the right, you can see that we have 11 regional support groups, 3 in Africa, 3 in Asia, 2 in America, 1 in Australia, 1 in the Arctic, and 1 in Europe. So the Gender and Pastoralism Working Group is made out of women and men from different countries, continents, disciplines, and backgrounds. So we are meeting once a month to plan how we can bring the gender lens into the IRP process. So the main outputs of this working group is, on one side, we are collecting pastoral films for the Pastoral Film Festival devoted to women and youth. We already have 32, we are choosing them, but any person of the participating now in this meeting, if you have some interesting documentary or film that you want to share, please let know about that. So the working group also works on women's gatherings, photo stories, we are collecting recipes, pastoralist recipes from all over the world, and this is an interesting, very interesting work. Of course, on research and policy, and we have some key messages. We have elaborated 3 main key messages. So the working group believes that the future of pastoralism depends on a deeper understanding of gender in pastoralism. So it's very important to call the attention on the critical issues as gender identity, gender roles, caregiving, and other responsibilities, productive and reproductive duties, that they are viewed within an equitable framework. And we support also pastoralist women's social movements. So all social movements that are participating now in this meeting are invited to incorporate into IARP. The second important key message is an equitable and inalienable right to access and use land, natural resources, biodiversity, knowledge, and information. So it's very, very important that women have the same rights for ownership and inheritance of land, of animals. The working group seeks also recognition, respect the specific knowledge that you all know that women pastoralists have, especially on health, and their contribution to maintain healthy rangeland and family. Of course, to promote the equitable voice and representation of women in all fora, and the collaborative actions, so to organize global gatherings. The third and last important key message is to enhance an equitable participation of women in research, policy making, governments related to pastoralism and rangeland. So we aim to a gender-sensitive dialogue between traditional and scientific knowledge holders, promoting an equitable and participatory solution based on pastoralist capacity to identify their own problems. And this is a very, very important point. And they devise sound approaches to solve them. So it's very important to take them into account. And of course, the VG advocates for recognition and promotion of women in various areas. And another very important point is a non-discriminatory, safe, and violence-free workplace. And we know that pastoralist women have their workplace is also the house, and also support the gathering of women, like the Mera Declaration and things like that. Last but not least, I would like to speak about the Global Interactive Pastoralism Project. This project has been developed by Pablo Manzano and many others, by the University of Helsinki and others. So for any project that will be designed, it's very, very important to establish the links between gender equality, environment, and economics. In the upper scheme you see in the A, that's the collapse trajectory in which we are now. We have to identify drivers of biodiversity losses across disciplines. So you can see in the B, if we make only a sectoral intervention, be it only the economic or the environmental or the social, it will collapse also. So it's very important to analyze the causes of collapse in pastoralist systems and develop policies including the 3 aspects. If you see the C, in which are considered the 3 points, gender equality, environmental and economic outcomes, then the rural development can be. So this is my last point. I thank you very much. I didn't go into transhumance, which is a very, very important point because we don't have the time today, but I'm open to any question that you might have for me.
Muchas gracias. Grazie mille. Francesca, I think that questions will be at the end of the whole, let's say, consultation. So you will need to stay online and wait a little bit for the questions. We reiterated we need deeper understanding of gender in pastoralism as our takeaway. Thank you very much. Now we would like to, in fact, we stay on the global level, and it's big honor and pleasure to invite the Global Mountain Partnership hosted by FAO, Mrs. Sara Manueli, to speak about the Mountain Partnership as a platform for bringing pastoralist women to the center stage, and we will also see a little movie about it. So please, Sara, take the floor.
Thank you, Harald, and good afternoon and good morning to everyone. And I wanted just to thank again the UNEP colleagues and the Secretariat of the Carpathian Convention for this opportunity. My name is Sara Manueli. I'm the Advocacy and Communications Officer of the Mountain Partnership Secretariat, and we're based at FAO in HQ headquarters in Rome. So I'm just going to share my presentation, which is I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do and how we can connect and provide a platform for pastoralist women, and of course for the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. So let me just share. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. Let me just move this. Okay. So first of all, what is the Mountain Partnership? For those who don't know us, we are the only United Nations alliance which works with its members for sustainable mountain development around the world, which means really looking at how to empower and boost mountain livelihoods and protect mountain ecosystems. We are what is called a multi-stakeholder alliance, which means that really we have both governments, intergovernmental organizations, but also major groups. Those include CSOs, NGOs, private sectors. We have now 568 members. We were founded over 20 years ago in 2002. And I think what makes us different is really this multi-stakeholder, in the sense that we have different voices at the same table with obviously different needs, different skills, different sets of knowledge, but all for the common cause of sustainable mountain development. The Secretariat where I work is hosted at FAO, and it's supported financially by the government of Andorra, Italy, and Switzerland. Our main pillars of work are advocacy, and we do that through the major global processes, the UN conventions, and the high-level political forum in New York. We are also within what we call the 5 years of action for the development of mountain regions 2023-2027. And of course, we also build on decades and years and days. So in this case, we're also working towards the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. We also do a lot of capacity development, specifically by hosting courses on sustainable mountain development, largely for developing countries. And a lot of the work that we do is creating and sharing knowledge on mountain issues, and we do that through technical publications, videos, newsletters, social media. FAO is also the lead agency for International Mountain Day, so that's a big undertake that we do annually each year with a different theme. We also have something which is called the Science and Knowledge Advisory Committee, which is really a knowledge hub, which is formed by different members, not necessarily part of organizations, but different members who can bring scientific evidence on specific mountain issues that then we use to inform evidence-based policy. And something that we do a lot is joint action. So we really put members together. And I just wanted to mention this because I think today we are talking about women, but also about young women. And something that we launched we supported the launch last year is the Mountain Youth Hub, which is a global platform of youth who are either working in mountain institutions or studying research on mountains, and are very keen to bring forward all the various issues related to youth in the mountains, which we know can be marginalized and excluded from major processes. And in fact, our Mountain Youth Hub is also participating in a couple of days' time at another event in New York at the CSW 68. Now, I don't need to, obviously here we all know why we are here, in the sense that we know that there are some key issues connected to pastoralist women in mountains. We know that mountain women and pastoralist women play a key role in environmental protection, but also in the social and economic development of mountain areas. And they're not just producers of income for their households, but they're also integral by maintaining community life, identity, and knowledge. And we know that often it is women that are take care of many aspects of herd management. And we also know that the fact that they are pastoralists also means that they are in charge of food security. And we know that livestock can be a nutritious source both for food and income. Unfortunately, we know that they lack access. So they remain vulnerable and are constantly in need of negotiating their position. Often mountain women lack the basic access to credit, to transport, to infrastructure, and to land tenure. So access to natural resources and economic opportunities is key for their empowerment. I'll be quick here because Francesco really mentioned the key points. We know that 2026 will be the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, and it will be implemented by FAO. There's usually always a UN agency that supports the implementation of an international year. FAO also hosts the Pastoralist Knowledge Hub, of which the Mountain Partnership is a MET partner. So if you haven't looked at it, please go and access it. It's a good place where to have knowledge repository, networks, events, and news. This is just an extra message, again, that just underlines the importance of why we are here today and why we are advocating for pastoralists women. Rangelands cover more than half of the world's land surface and are critical to the livelihoods of more than 500 million people around the world. I want to talk to you about a project that we did. We started a few years ago. It's a pilot project which we call Ethical Fashion for Fragile Ecosystems. And I think we'll see a little video afterwards. I think it's an interesting way to show how targeted interventions can improve livelihoods and boost mountain economies. We did a project in 2022 in the Puna ecosystems of the Peruvian Andes in a village called Tolconi, which is actually 4,800 meters above sea level. And we worked with a group of alpaqueras who live by herding, raising alpacas. And what we do in this project is we combine the skills, expertise, and knowledge of Italian fashion designers with communities of artisans, in this case, a community of alpaqueras who are also artisans, to create contemporary collections or items that can access wider markets than they have already. We know that mountain communities suffer from very long value chains. They are quite remote from markets, and often in the value chain, there's many intermediaries, which mean that the communities don't often receive fair compensation. So this project is about shortening value chains, making them more ethical. And in particular here, we looked at alpaca fleece. In Tolconi, you see in the video, this community is very keen in continuing producing what they call multicolored fleece. While the market, though, prefers white fleece, they continue to sell also the natural colors of the herds, which includes brown and gray. And so to boost their access to markets, Stella Jean, which is a Haitian Italian designer, came to Tolconi, worked with them on capacity development workshops, and produced a series of items. And the great thing about Stella that she has an access to fashion week networks, and she is a very well-known designer. So then she launches her collection, but also on the other side, helps the communities to develop their own products, which then they can sell either online or through markets. So it's really a partnership where both systems of knowledge meet together and work together to preserve their traditions, but to also improve their products and therefore their income. And here I just wanted to have us reflect on a couple of key messages and how we can really work together towards gender equality in pastoralism, but also how policy planning and program development is key. The fact that we engage women pastoralists directly ensures effective representation and empowerment. When we look at initiatives, another key message I think is really to have a look at how we can reduce those gender-related barriers. And also when we include interventions in value chains, for example, to be very careful about how that intervention is actually labor-saving for women and not an additional task, because as we've seen, women are often in charge of almost everything, from fetching the firewood to the water, to looking after the children, to looking after the animals. Very important, I think, is also to improve the quality and the quantity of sex disaggregated data. We have a great lack in mountain communities on that. We have it maybe sometimes at local or regional level, but very little data is at global level. And in the case of pastoralist households, that can help us inform decision-making, both at national and regional level. And of course, last but not least, support capacity building initiatives, which can also, as I said with the project before, mean some small target interventions ad hoc for that community or that value chain or that market, so that really are relevant to that pastoral systems. This is for me all today. I think Eleonora perhaps would like to show the video. I thank you for this opportunity. And of course, if you have any questions at the end of the session, I'll be happy to respond. Thanks.
So, yeah. Screen. The other one. Banner upstairs. It's under the black one. There's a video under the black banner. It's another. I cannot see. You can move the. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sarah Manuele, Mountain Partnership, and for the video Women Move Mountains. We are now going to move from the global level to the regional level, and I'm particularly pleased to invite some young women leaders from the Western Balkans that also work with me in our daily lives. Mrs. Iskra Stoyanova from North Macedonia and Mrs. Valmira Bosko from Albania, working both for UNEP to speak about enhancing women's engagements in the mountainous areas of Albania and North Macedonia. So please, Iskra.
Thank you, Carol, for the intro. It's very difficult to come after these colors and the music from Peru. UNEP has been present in the Western Balkans for more than a decade, and we've really collected a lot of stories, both positive and negative and challenges. So we are here to speak today about both. I will share mainly the positive experience, and then I'm going to leave some time for Valmira to speak about Albania and the challenges that are ahead of us and how we are going to address them. I don't know how many of you know that about 3 years ago, Macedonia got its fourth national park, Shara Mountains, and in the pre-proclamation period, you can just go to the next slide, please. We were doing some campaigns where we were emphasizing the importance of women in all areas of work and life. On this slide, you will see Hiker, who is one of the active members of the oldest mountaineering club in Macedonia, Ljubotan, who was presenting the benefits that all of us will get from the establishment of a national park for all, especially for the local people. I associate more with the second lady, which somehow reminds me of my grandmother, and I'm sure of most of our grandmothers. Hopefully some of them are all alive. She's someone who is collecting medicinal plants from nature and treating different diseases, who many of us know that are much better than the official, let's say, medicines. Can you please go to the next slide? Then this is a slide which shows a very nice experience to Tsarav Dvor, Prespa, which is in the south part of Macedonia. We went to this Prespa family farm, which is solely led by women. And we saw the challenges they are facing and how they are dealing with those, how positive they are, what's their motivational story. We even had a man coming from Shara, visiting this lovely site and being somehow introduced to the benefits of having more women engaged on Shara in different activities, especially agrotourism and traditional food. For the International Desertification and Drought Day, we had a nice celebration together with the Secretariat of the Convention to Combat Desertification and the Macedonian Ministry of Environment, where we gathered about 40 women farmers. They have shared their successful stories, their motivational stories, and we had a small fair where people could buy some of their products. Can you please go to the next slide, please? In the next few slides, I'll show you some of their experiences. This is the coordinator of a women's farmers network at the National Federation of Farmers. Basically, what she says is that despite or regardless our level of education, we as women need to support each other everywhere in every area of our life. Of course, the traditional barriers are always there. I think that Francesca mentioned that the ownership of the property and land still is a great challenge on the ground. Only 5% of women appear to be the holders of agricultural land, which is a stunning, in a negative sense, statistics. Can you please go to the next slide? you see the motto of each slide is her land, her rights. That was the motto of the International Drought and Desertification Day. And this lady is also engaged in production of different jams and local products, wines, syrups, and some similar products, which puts the women into the position of being the managers and having an important contribution to their lives. On the next slide, please. Sorry, this is the first woman president of the National Federation of Farmers. This is where she says that the statistics of 5%, and that women need to be seen as equal members both at home and in the decision-making processes. If you can go to the next slide, we are presenting, let's say, a positive example where a lady is manager of and an owner of 5 hectares of agricultural land, which together with her husband and her 2 children, son and a daughter, are managing this winery, are producing only from their vineyards. And she's saying that she will leave equal right to her children to choose whether and how they're going to use the land in future. I'll stop my presentation here. I'll just say that as a moderate feminist, I guess my mother and my grandmother will always be at the top of my heroes list. But after them, I guess on the high third position would be these people, these ladies, who we could definitely say that are our heroes. Maybe one idea which also comes from Francesca's presentation is she said the photo stories. I know that UN office in Vienna every month has a different type of projection into kino, and we can maybe find short movies or longer movies about women, inspirational stories, and promote them when time allows so. And yeah, let's facilitate that. Thank you. Almira, it's your turn. Thanks. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Iskra. Thank you, colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Hi, my name is Vladimira Bozgo. I'm working with UNEP in Tirana and in Albania. I'm sitting in Tirana right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges of engaging rural women and pastoralist women with our project in the Albanian Alps. This is a GEF project that has been in the right there in conception for a long time. And we are hoping to finally start the project, hopefully this month, and start implementation of the project. We're still in
no se escucha.
Conservation through effective management and enhanced resilience to climate change in the existing protected area of the North Albanian mountainous region. And it has 3 components by which it aims to establish an enabling environment for effective management of the protected area, strengthen the practical experience and know-how of the stakeholders in the management of the protected area, and support national level adaptation in sustainable protected area management. Next slide, please. Can you change the slides? Down.
Yes, we are trying. It got a bit stuck, but
it's all right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the area. The reason why the title is a little bit long is because when we were drafting the project, the area was not yet proclaimed. However, thank you. Yeah, this is the right slide. So the area has been in proclamation for about 20 years now, and people have been having a different initiative to proclaim the area. It's 82,000 hectares. But before that, this 82,000 hectares was declared in 2022. But before that, it was 3 smaller size parks that were kind of isolated in the mountainous areas. And now it's a big landscape park. And so the community of the protected area has become a lot larger than it used to be. It's 6 times what it used to be. And so during this 15 years that it was in the proclamation, there were at least 2 initiatives that tried to have the area zoned and proclaimed. And we wanted to see where they did good things and where they didn't, these 2 previous initiatives, so that we, with our project, we have a better engagement of stakeholders and have positive results. So what we noticed was that stakeholders were not very well engaged, and they were not very well informed about the protected area management decisions and how that would affect their livelihood. And this was especially true for the rural women and the women in the area who were the least represented, according to our review of the previous initiatives. And this led to poor community support for any other additional environmental-based initiatives in the future. And so this was one of the constraints. The next constraint was that of course, the zonation plan was not very well consulted and developed with very little stakeholder consultation and knowledge of the biological and socioeconomic context of the area. So also the people there don't know what they have in terms of richness of biological and socioeconomic context. Furthermore, we wanted to correct this with our project, and we looked at the kind of socioeconomic background of the women in the Albanian Alps. And we noticed, of course, that they were more into agricultural livelihoods, into collection of medicinal plants, like the women in Macedonia that Iskra just shared, and collection of non-timber products, but sometimes also timber products. However, they had family-owned farms and produced very low quantities or insufficient quantities to compete to the market. So this was one of the asks that we got during the inception or drafting of the project proposal, that they needed more better ways to market their quantities of produced food and products from the area. Furthermore, we noticed that when it comes to climate change and weather and climate related disasters such as floods, extreme weather events, the recent earthquake that we had in Albania, and of course the COVID-19 pandemic, we noticed that the part of the community that suffered the most was the rural women and the mothers who went the single mothers who went homeless during this time, and women who faced domestic violence. So these were the most vulnerable groups. And can we change the slide, please? So we made it a point in our project to address some of these issues. And during the project development and further during the inception phase, we also went to the site and did further exploration, and we saw that there were additional challenges and constraints to the women in the area related to geography. As you can see, the top of the map is where the protected area is, and this spans in 3 different municipalities, and they have 3 different access points. And the 3 separate areas are very much isolated, and it takes about 5 hours by car to go from one area to the next. So, of course, the main challenge that the women did mention was the lack of accessibility to facilities and the lack of constraints in mobility for women in the area. Furthermore, land and property rights, but not only, also the registration of assets such as livestock and heads of livestock was traditionally very, very low in this area, because the area was used to be historically led by one of the laws that we call the Kanun. It's a popular law that, of course, had some very good aspects to it with regards to community and responsibility. However, it did not allow women to inherit land or any kind of assets. And this is very much ingrained still in the culture of people there, and the society and the communities that live there are very traditional. And so there are certain cultural challenges that we must overcome in order to keep engaging women and have a larger number of women in our projects participating. Also, we
yes. Please, you must slowly proceed towards conclusion, please.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm taking a lot of time. There's a lot of challenges, the gender disparity in unpaid work. So we went to the site and we spoke to the women, and they had different asks. Can we go to the next slide? So the way that we planned to engage the women in our project was in some key events or key activities, which is the management committee meetings, the drafting and the consultation for the zonation plan. We're going to do a climate change assessment, for which we not only want to have gender-specific data on the impacts, but also recommendations to target the resilience building measures that are specific to gender. The management plan that it's going to be drafted, of course, is going to contain the voices of women and the youth. We're going to have an institutional development plan for the regional administration of protected areas who are directly responsible for managing the protected area. And we will consider the number of male and female staff and their responsibilities and competences to be equally represented. Capacity building, we also want to recognize the role of women in maintaining and transferring the traditional knowledge and practices, especially to the youth. So am I going over the time?
So please, you must, I think we got the main message of the challenges, so please conclude on them.
Yes. So the way I have, can we go to the final slide? So this is the principles and the tools that we want to use to make sure that the proper engagement of women is done in the project implementation. Also, we have one more activity, which will be the pilots that we plan to develop in the protected area, which so far we have consulted both men and women, and we've collected their different asks, but this is still in the making and in discussion. However, two groups are emerging, which is the guest house and the shepherding and pastoralist women. So thank you. I don't want to go further than my time. I know there's a lot of speakers.
Thank you very much, Valmira, and thank you very much, Iskra, for this nice, let's say, positive and heroines, and also challenges of mountain women living in mountains in the Western Balkans. Thank you very much. Let's now move to the other mountain range, the Alps, and I'm pleased to invite Maria Buchsteiner, University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences, Vienna, to speak about adaptation capacity of women to climate change in the Alpine region with a focus on pastoral farms. So please, Mrs. Buchsteiner, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So now we're supposed to. So thank you very much for having me. So I'm going to talk about the adaptation capacity of women. Quickly, I am from Austria myself, and I grew up in a dairy farm in the Salzburg Alps. And I'm this research, so I did research on my master thesis on the adaptive capacity of women in dairy farms in Tyrol, and I basically present you my findings of my research today. So I don't think that I have to delve into the motivation and research background of this, because I think we all know how important adaptive capacity, especially for women in these communities, is to save some time. But mainly the objective of my research was to find out what factors specifically influence or limit the adaptive capacity of female farmers in these agriculture communities, and specifically in terms of cultural, social, and human capital. So what challenges, limitations do they have? What opportunities do they perceive themselves? How they would perceive climate change and the exposure towards it, as well as in which social environment and under which working conditions they're operating. And this was all based on a theoretical background. I'm just going to quickly explain what the community capital fulcrum is built on. So it's basically a community has 7 different forms of capital, which are among others cultural, social, and human capital, but also financial, built in natural and political capital. And the cultural capital would have gender norms, traditions, beliefs. The social capital would refer to social networks, how people are interconnected as well on a formal as well as on an informal level. And the human capital would refer to knowledge exchange, training, education, and also workforce. And during the study, I was interviewing 22 female farmers on field, as well as 3 industry experts. And the case study was Tyrol. I think the most important thing about the case study is that only 70% of these farms are actually officially managed by women, which is even lower than the Austrian average of 33. Yeah, so what were our main findings? So basically the main findings were that cultural, human, and social capital are strongly interlinked with each other, and that one of the most limiting factors are still the gender social norms, which have a strong influence on how all these capital assets are distributed among these communities, which leads to also who would own the farm and who would identify exactly as the main farmer or female farmer in terms more the lack of representation on a formal level, like in institutions, and also involvement in formal institutions, and coming to time constraints to the multiple burdens that the women inherit. So as I said, the gender social norms would have an influence on how work is distributed, what kind of role models the women would inherit. One woman specifically pointed out that one of the problems she faces in the female farmer organizations they try to support those more modern role models, but actually as soon as they go back home, they would still stick to the traditional role models where women would do all the care work, would do secondary farm work, and that is one of the main challenges. Then they also lack in decision-making power, and also farm succession is still pretty prone to male, like to the sons. And as I said before, this is basically deciding who is having which capital assets among the communities. Then the farm ownership is still strongly linked to male farmers, and it also is connected to decision-making power. So there was also a woman who was pledging for the farm to stay organic, but her husband did not want to, and at the end, he was the one who decided. As well as agricultural know-how is still strongly linked to men, because men, since being the official farm owner, would always also be the one who would engage more with others about this topic, as well as the representation of the farm. So in all these official gatherings where they would have these milk processors, etc., all these gatherings and meetings, mostly only male, the male representation of the farm would attend there, and female farmers would be completely under presented. And if they're there, they kind of feel left outside. And they strongly still identify with all the caregiving responsibilities, because this is kind of the role where they feel most secure in. This all, as I said, leads to a lack of female representation and a lack of involvement in these formal institutions. And what another woman pointed out, which I thought was really interesting, that even if there are women that would hold political would be involved in political settings, these are often those women who are in line with those traditional patterns and would like not be brave enough to challenge these gender norms. So in all these official gatherings, there's still a lot of lack of women representation. And another thing that one female farmer pointed out, which was actually one of those that was officially the farm manager, said that she would sometimes still send her man to all these official gatherings to make a point for her farm, because she knew that he would be heard better than her, because being the only woman there kind of does not she would not have the grounds to make herself heard. But what is really important are all these female farmer organizations that are locally built up. They are strongly connecting all the women with each other, but this is kind of isolating them from the agriculture or the official agricultural community, because these female farmers organizations are really important in the sense that they would strengthen the social network within the communities, but do not really necessarily have something to do with core agricultural work. And all of these problems also kind of to invest in these capitals to strengthen women. Women do have the issue of time constraints and multiple burdens, since they are responsible for domestic work, for childcare, for care of the elderly, and also for administrative tasks. And additionally, they also started to get involved into income diversification, which is especially important actually in Tyrol. Yeah, so basically what all of them are saying, they would like to educate themselves more. They would like to kind of have more access to a lot of resources, but they still don't find their capacity to invest in these things. But what was pretty obvious, or what came out, that agritourism and direct marketing was a tool that they kind of developed for themselves to get additional income, to raise their self-efficacy, to feel more empowered, because they felt like that was something that they would build. And 100% of farms that would have agritourism, the woman was the one being responsible for that and being the one developing that. And that you could actually feel that they were really proud to have established like their own side business. And this also kind of would lead them to have another social network, which was outside of just the farm. So what were actually the conclusions and the recommendations out of this research was basically that gender norms are still strongly influencing their daily lives. And out of these, a lot of social and structural challenges would still arise in limiting their adaptive capacity. And we still would need further research, which is be done by my colleagues of the university, to see where it actually makes sense to invest first, if it's actually important to first invest in human capital and social capital to kind of challenge these norms, or if it would be sufficient to just like give them official farm ownership, or if all these problems would still remain, like to see which is the best point to target to have like in technical terms, the spiraling up effect, which would kind of trigger other capital forms to raise as well. So it would be important to still do awareness raising and to support these female farmers in their role, and also the female representation and gender these norms. And as I said, invest in human and social capital, and to promote this access to these resources, but not only make really also have these framework conditions. Because, for example, if I have I would have education accessible, still does not mean that women are able to use it. Super simple example, because they have to take care of the kids, and in mountain regions it's often not that easy to find somebody else to take care of your kids while you would educate yourselves. Thank you for your attention. We don't have time for questions, but we do have time later, and I hope I did not get over time.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
Very interesting presentation. Please stay online for possible questions.
Yes.
Thanks for your insights into the adaptation capacity and in fact also the challenges for women in the Alpine region. It was really very interesting. Now, I see also the chat very active. So people, since we are running a bit over time, actively use the chat also for possible questions in the meantime, because we will have less time at the end. And now I would like to go through to the Caucasus region, and I would like to ask Mrs. Irina, and sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your second name, you will tell us. Please, Irina, co-founder of the Innovative Solutions for Sustainable Development of Communities NGO in Armenia, to talk to us about environmental protection and innovation as a basis for empowering pastoralist women. So please, Irina, please stay short because we're running over time. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will quickly share my screen, and I will appreciate if you can confirm that you see my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm Irina. My surname is Makarchan. It's indeed very difficult, but very typical Armenian surname. And today I want to dive with you a little bit into different aspects of environmental protection and innovation with a specific focus on Armenia. When you talk about Armenia, when you look through like national documents, strategic documents, or you just Google it and you look through promotional materials that are promoting tourism in Armenia, the first thing that you see generally is that Armenia is mountainous area. And indeed, that's true. Actually, around 47% of our land is occupied by mountains. We're a landlocked country. And majority of the resources, natural resources that we have are coming from our mountainous regions. So when you are in a position where mountains are your biggest asset, you actually have to find a way to innovate. I want to confirm that majority of things that speakers before me have raised is also very true for Armenia. And the organization where I'm working is actually dealing with very similar aspects, but I don't really want to repeat everything that has been said. Just to accent the fact that we're very actively working on promoting environmental protection and agriculture also in the mountainous areas, not just there, but also there, in order to boost more opportunities for women to develop their capacity to provide more educational opportunities, because similar to other countries, unfortunately, women that live in the mountainous regions do not really have a lot of access to materials, resources, financial and non-financial. So as a result, and in the picture here, you can see our team a while ago during one of the projects we're doing in one of the mountainous regions in Armenia. I want to focus a little bit on the four main areas where Armenia is trying to innovate, which is somehow related to mountainous innovation. So we generally have four different areas. First of all, being tourism, which is one of the most popular and right now trending industries, where you can find a lot of innovative solutions that are being presented by local and international organizations. We have a lot of plant harvesting happening across the mountainous regions, because there we have very high quality herbs and different produce that can be grown and can be used in order to treat different diseases, to support people, to use it in medicine and cooking. So this is something that is very actively happening in Armenia. Animal breeding being one of our most active agricultural fields. We have almost all across the country seasonal animal breeding happening in very high mountainous regions where people take the animals for 6-7 months. And we have a component of creativity where the standard innovation is slightly changed, and we're coming up with new solutions that are innovative not only for our country, but also for international different countries as well. So here we have several representations of projects that are happening in mountainous countries, not just Armenia. Mainly the ones that are above are from different countries, and the ones that are down are from Armenia. And in Armenia, recently, we have very actively started to promote tourism in mountainous areas, and not just hiking, but also anything from yoga, meditation, to cooking classes. We have also last year had a very interesting case where the winemakers produced the first mountain wine, let's say. So the picture that you see over here is actually the team was taking out the equines that have been buried in the lake, in the highest mountain that we have in Armenia. Also, next to it, you can see the picture of a traditional Armenian wedding that is commonly being organized in mountainous regions. But going down to what exactly my organization is doing and how we are innovating, we have started by identifying the fact that animal breeding, which is happening in majority of mountainous region, is drastically affected by environmental challenges. Those can be pollution, those can be related to water management, improper irrigation systems. So as an organization that is focusing largely on waste management, we have decided to find an alternative solution on how to support the women by creating new income sources for them and also helping them to get new experiences and new skills. So one of the things that we have been doing is we have actually been turning plastic bottles, the PET bottles, which you can see in picture 1, into yarn, which you can see in picture 2. And the image that you can see in picture 2 is actually 100% handmade yarn, which is produced from plastic bottles. So what happens, we do have a small pilot facility in the capital city where we are turning PET bottles into synthetic winterizer, which is later on taken to the mountainous regions, and not only, where women weave out of it the yarn. So they use very basic equipment, let's say, in order to make the yarn that you see in picture 2. They can also, before turning it to yarn, they also manage to produce other materials that you can see in picture 3. And you can just see a cuter picture in number 4, which represents the yarns that are being made by the women in these communities. So similar again to the speakers that presented the projects before me, we are trying to connect the innovation in mountainous regions with environment, with fashion, and with different other perspectives. Armenia is very known for its carpeting art. So a lot of carpets have been produced in Armenia and are also being currently produced. So one of the areas where we're taking it is actually to support the women that are in the mountainous areas. And you can see the first picture over here, where the woman is using semi-manual equipment machine to turn the filler into the yarn, after which you can color it. You can add any artificial or natural coloring, which is quite easy in Armenia. And then at the end of the day, turn it into a beautiful carpet. This way, we have actually managed to support quite many families across different mountainous parts of Armenia and to provide a new innovative way for women especially to make additional income. Because during the period when they stay in the mountainous areas for 6-7 months, they don't really have much to do except for like milking and just taking care of the animals. So whenever they have any free time, we also provide them with innovative approach of making additional income. So this is just one of the examples. Of course, there are way many, but I wanted to share one that has been proven to be very efficient and which can easily be duplicated in other countries. And I won't be taking more of your time. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer during the end of the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina, for this interesting experience with innovation. You are becoming world famous already, also after the Mountain Innovation Fair, where you were present with us in Bolzano in Italy at the Eurac seat last year. Thanks a lot for your experience from Armenia. We want to go now further to the next part of, in fact, Europe. And I want to invite Mrs. Laura Martinez Nunez, our first shepherdess, to speak today, shepherdess of goats, veterinary and cheesemaker in Spain, to give us your presentation. We are looking forward to it. I understand there will be a Spanish presentation and Francesca is going to translate for us. So please, Laura, the floor is yours.
Hello to everyone. Sorry, but my English is not very good. I'm going to speak in Spanish. I think Francesca is gonna do the translate. I think so.
Sí, lo voy a hacer.
Pues voy a compartir la pantalla. A ver si se puede. Un segundito.
Si quieres, ya empiezo con la primera parte.
I understand that this, because I didn't read out the title, it's very poetic title, Women of Earth, Wind and Livestock, the earth
Yes,
in
it
our
is.
soul, the wind in our
I will
hair.
tell a little bit about it. Them Ganaderas en Red means a network of pastoralist women. As its name indicates, it's a woman pastoralists and herders who have come together to defend extensive livestock farming and to raise the visibility and recognition of their work and their rights. So they have a very poetic lemma. They have also T-shirts on it that they have, and I hope the video is coming. If not, Tamara, I don't know if you can share it, please.
Presentation. Do you want to share the video or the presentation now?
Not the video afterwards. Now the presentation. Tamara, do you have it?
Yeah. So I can also do it.
So I go on because we have limited time. So this group was created from a roundtable of women pastoralists at the first edition of Territorios Pastoreados. This is a gathering, a conference organized almost every year, not every year, by the platform of extensive livestock farming and pastoralism in 2015. Ahora puedes, ¿no? Ya está. So the lemma that is on their T-shirts is women. Put the English one. Woman of earth, wind, and livestock. Earth in the soul, wind in the hair, and livestock in the heart. Habla tú si quieres, Laura.
Like a goat. Yeah.
Ya he dicho lo que es, ¿eh? Puedes pasar a las... un poco, le he dicho hasta que se ha creado en 2015. Laura, ¿no se te oye?
We cannot hear Laura, actually.
Well, I can go on, but I would like her
please
to
go
say
on. Francesca, we cannot hear Laura for the moment, but since you are anyway translating, please go ahead.
I have to go ahead?
No, you go, please deliver the presentation because Laura seems to be disconnected.
Okay, no problem. So, and that year, in a large group of men, there were only 4 women herders, and they asked themselves, are there no other women herders? Why aren't they there? So they started to think about and wanted to make themselves heard. So the first event led to a face-to-face meeting in November 2016. And there were 20 women's pastoralists who brought themselves together to the social invisibility of their work in sustaining and living in productive work, the machismo, the lack of recognition, and the multi-employment. That's already what has been said before. You can go to the other slide, please. The former. So there are more than 130 women, 180 women and shepherdesses, only shepherdesses, yes, and herds women throughout Spain. It's impossible to speak of a homogeneous profile because they are only women, but coming from very different landscape. They are university students, ex-teachers, ex-journalists, ex-professional dancer, livestock farmers since childhood, executives. It's really very, very, very a lot of kind of women. So some are mothers, others are not. Some work side by side with their partners, and other with their children or parents or siblings. So there are also women who run their farms alone. So many have elderly or sick relatives to take care of, or a job outside. So some are born in villages, others in city. So they're completely different. And because these women are connected by a series of problems and experience that are unique to women and which are not experienced by livestock farmers and herdsmen, like lack of visibility, representation, and recognition. If the shepherd's world of extensive livestock farming in general is often disregarded and made invisible, you can take the next one. So the next one in English, yes. The livestock women are doubly invisibilized. So feeling a guilt of abandoning the role of caregiver when they attend meetings or gatherings, conferences, or dedicate their time to writing a manifesto or making a video. So this often results in a lack of presence and prominence in the groups or association in which they are, which means that their voice is often not reflected. And then there is also a lack of self-confidence and self-esteem as a result. So a very important problem that has already been risen is the violence, gender violence, sexual violence. And this is a reality that it is very difficult to talk about. And often in the rural areas where they live, it is even more difficult to denounce and get out of this situation of violence at work and at home. So is the isolation to which the rural world is subjected in this country, in Spain, is a burden for women. So at the beginning, they were united to share experiences, knowledge, and interaction on a basis of equality, self-management, care, and mutual support. But now the objectives have evolved during the years. At the beginning, they were focused on giving visibility to their work as extensive pastoralists and become known as a collective. But then now they have achieved this objective. You can go on with the next slide. They have come together because of a series of common needs, not because of political affinities. And their dialogue is coming from this action and not from theoretical or ideological base. You can go to the next one. Here you have the objectives, the main objectives, no? So to increase the visibility, to continue developing network, you see how they create their network, and to work together to find solution. Next one, please. So how do we organize ourselves? Yeah, next, please. As you can see, now on the left, you have a film, Women, Wind and Earth, and livestock. They just made a long video from which we will see a trial now. Then they are making how you call that, podcast every month that is called Counting Sheep, and they talk about half an hour about several matters. It's really very interesting. It's in Spanish for the moment. They have made manifestos, and they made in the middle, in the down part, there is Sabores y Raíces, that means tastes and roots. That's a recipes book, but it's not only recipes, it's recipes with story around it, and really a very, very nice, and I hope that can be translated because it's very interesting and good recipes. Yeah, next one, please. So their lemma is, alone we are invisible, together we are unbeatable. So we are open to whatever question, because this women's group is really working very, very well, and I can only suggest women from other countries to do the same. Goodbye. You can stop sharing, Tamara.
Yeah, we have the video.
Okay, let's go to the video.
Yes, please. Here it is. Okay.
So
this is just a trial, very short.
Nina. A ver, Isabel, quita. Yo en mis adentros decía, ¿no habrá alguien, mujeres, que hagan esto? Porque yo no encuentro, decía, no me encuentro. Digo, alguien que me entienda, que me comprenda. Y un día así inventando en YouTube, me acuerdo, ahí encontré que decía algo que te pueda interesar, mujeres ganaderas. Digo, madre mía, esto es para mí.
Pero tener ahí un apoyo de un montón de ganaderas de toda España que ya llevan tiempo, que te pueden asesorar, que te pueden aportar información o simplemente saber que están ahí. O sea, es que creo que es fundamental el apoyo, saber que hay más gente como tú, ¿no? Sobre todo mujeres que están en el campo, que han empezado con las mismas dificultades que tú, que se han tropezado con las mismas piedras y ver que sobre todo que las han conseguido superar esos obstáculos, pues como que te llena de energía, ¿no? para seguir adelante.
Yo voy soñando despierta.
sorry.
Muy bien.
Quiero abrir todas las puertas. Mi corazón cristalino va buscando su destino. La tarde cayendo está. ¿A dónde el camino irá?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, to Francesca for delivering the presentation. It was a pity that we couldn't listen directly to Laura, but we saw her now in the video and we got her voice in the beginning. So in any case, we're gonna keep her in our mind and hope that next time the connection is gonna work better. So thanks a lot to both of you for the experience and for the nice images from Spain. And now we're gonna go back to the east of Europe. And it's my pleasure to invite a herder from Hungary, Mrs. Ibolia Safiane, to talk to us about the role of women in pastoralism in Hungary. And I understand the presentation will be done in Hungarian with English slides and the support of Esther Fodor. So next experiment, I hope it's gonna work this time with the connection. Ibolia, please take the floor.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Esther Fodor and just give us 1 minute. We will share Iboya's presentation and she will be able to present her presentation, okay?
Very good. She's coming anyway.
Sounds good.
We can see the presentation.
Yeah, now you put it on the full screen.
Okay, just 1 minute. Just one minute.
Yes.
Yeah, take your time, don't worry.
Well, two Hungarian words that we can all understand. In the video. Yeah, but Hungarian. Hungarian. Only them.
We can also share the presentation if there is a problem.
15 1 or 2 minutes. Take the presentation very nicely now.
Okay, thank you so much for your patience, and please welcome Ibolya.
Igen, tehát szeretettel üdvözlök mindenkit. Sáfián Lászlóné vagyok, és a nők szerepe Magyarországon a pásztorságban. Ezt szeretném megmutatni. Jó. Itt nálunk ugye a nők többféle módon próbálnak mindent csinálni. Én Sáfián Lászlóné vagyok, Hajdúsámsonban élek családommal, családi gazdaságként juhokat tenyésztünk, Hortobágyi Nemzeti Parki legelőn, pásztoroló legeltetést végzünk. Férjemmel és tehát családommal együtt a legtöbb nő így van. Nők a pásztorságban csoport vezetője 2021. októberétől vagyok, ami ekkor alakult meg. Az 1900-as években még a pásztorfeleségek hordtak férjeiknek a legelőre ebédet, élelmet, amire éppen szükség volt. De már akkor is akadtak női nyíróbrigádok, ami nem mindennapi volt. Többek közt a nők a juhokat fejéshez, a fejő lyukra hajtották, amiből sajtot, túrót, gomolyát készítettek. Ma is készül ilyen. Na most a belenevelődést szeretném megmutatni, tehát a pásztorcsaládokba születő gyerekeknek könnyebb az állatokkal való foglalkozás, mert itt már gyermekként sajátítják el az állathoz való, hogy kell megfogni, hogy kell bárányt cumisztatni. Itt például, amikor már a lányom botra ugattatja a kutyát, hogy legeljenek a juhok, jó helyen legyenek. Itt például cumusüveggel cumisztatja a bárányt, akinek az anyának kevesebb a teje. Itt még ugye az állathoz való viszonyulás kisgyermekként, még játékként fogják fel, majd később már ugye segítenek az etetésbe, ami nekik még ez is csak játék. Örömmel hordja már, amennyi kukoricát elbír, a kutya szeretet az már kisgyermekként megvan. Tudásátadás több generáción keresztül tudatosan, itt már tanítja apa a lányát, hogy is kell megkörmölni a juhot. Itt a lányom, itt is az édesapja tanítja, hogy kell körmölni a juhot, hogy nehogy sánta legyen. Gyapjú nyíráskor, mikor a juhokat nyírjuk, akkor is nagyon tudnak már sokat segíteni. Gyapjúszedés az az ő feladatuk. Akkor a beszénázás, berácsolás a juhoknak az etető berácsba, de viszont már bárány eladáskor is nagyon sokat tudnak segíteni. Itt már önállóan a szakmai fortélyokat ugye elsajátították, és önállóan tudnak segíteni. A legeltetés, ami nem könnyű, tehát hogy jól lakjanak az állatok, itt teljesen Megyünk tovább, és akkor a sok fizikai munka mellett nagyon nehéz eligazodni a bürokrácia rejtelmeiben, a sok papírmunkában, és próbálunk teljesen készek lenni, napra készen. Első nagy összejövetelünk nemrég, március 2-án volt, Hajdúsámsonban, Magyarországi Nők a Pásztorságban csoporttagjaival, aminek nagyon örültem, mert szép számmal összegyűltünk, és itt külön ebédelni még férjeinkkel, párjainkkal ebédeltünk, de már egy zárt körű bemutatkozó alkalmával, utána témáink voltak a család, a gyerekek, a munka, családanyák, feleségek problémái, a gyermekek megkülönböztetése az iskolában, a gazdálkodással járó papírmunka, engedélyek és szabályozások körüli problémák, felmerült a magyar pásztornők receptgyűjteményének ötlete, ami történeteket is tartalmazna az ételekhez, egy-egy jó sztorik, hogy ami könnyen készül el, gyorsan, de viszont tartalmas étel legyen. Mert az időnk általában rövid a sok munkánk miatt. Készült egy film a Nők a Pásztorságban csoportról, ezt szerencsénkre Niki elkészítette, ez látható a YouTube csatornán. És köszönöm szépen a figyelmet, kérem az esemény végén felmerülő kérdéseket tegyék fel, ha van, szívesen megválaszolom. Köszönöm szépen.
Thank you very much for your kind attention. And Ibolya, megnyomhatod, hogy stop.
Köszönöm.
Oké.
Thank you so much.
Köszönöm, Ibolya. This was a really excellent presentation, really very interesting to learn. We look forward to hear more from you the next 2 years until International Year of Pastoralists, where we want to celebrate pastoralism together with you all over the world. And we wish all the best success to Hungarian herders and women herders group. Greetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I will translate it to her.
Very good. So let's move on. And the next presentation is going to take us to Romania. I invite Constanta Stefan, President of Country Loviștea Agricultural Association, Vice President of the National Federation Pro Agro, representative of the sheep and goat sector at European Commission and DG Agri, representative of Romania at the European Commission meeting of Social Dialogue Group in Romania. So many important roles to talk about the role of women in Romanian pastoralism and transhumance, a basic aspect of pastoralism in Carpathians. I understand that presentation will be done in Romanian and translation support will be provided into English. I ask all participants to, so we really get people from the ground, so we have to experiment a little bit with the slides in English or with translation. So please bear with us. And Constanta, over to you.
Hello. Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Maria Angel. I'm helping with the presentation, Mrs. Constanța here, Mrs. Stefan. I will let her introduce her into Romanian. And in order to, I don't know, not waste your time, because she provided me the words she wanted to tell you, I am trying to do it in English because it's easier than to spare us the time. I don't know if you agree with that. I think it's easier.
Very good idea. Please, yes.
Yes. Okay, because I saw that the previous presentation were like this. We are very sorry that we didn't think to make a presentation because we had a lot of meetings within the ministry, between the minister and also the shepherds representative and the farmers. You know how these times are. But I let my colleague introduce herself, and after that I will continue with the presentation. Okay?
Please.
Bună ziua, sunt Ștefan Constanța și mă bucur să vin alături de dumneavoastră la acest important eveniment, nu numai în calitate de președinte al Asociației Agricole Țara Loviștei, dar și în calitate de crescător de animale.
So good afternoon. My name is Constanța Ștefan, and I'm coming to you on this important event, not only as the president of the Agricultural Association Țara Loviștei, an association that brings together over 1,500 pastors, 80% from the mountains area of Romania, from the Carpathian Mountains, but also as an animal breeder in a farm within the Carpathian Mountains. Okay, so I will proceed from now on. Mrs. Ștefan has prepared herself a little bit of presentation about herself, and she presents herself as a person born into an old family of shepherds, where the tradition of raising sheep were passed down from generation to generation, and ensure that the families within that, they were provided the everyday living. So for herself, the sheep and the family and the mountain, it's sacred and eternal. And it gives us life, it gives us everything that we need for us and our farms. Living on the Alpine peaks, full of majesty of the Carpathians, gave her the free and honest, healthy life with respect for nature and love and pride for sheep and business. We can tell you that the mountain area of Romania represents over 35% of the territory and constitutes, however, a special territory of national interest, with a huge economic, social, touristical, cultural, and environmental potential. The shepherds, these wonderful sons of mountains, have lived for millennia without needing to work very much. In the hills and mountain area where they were animal breeders, they did not let the tradition to die. They supported their families, sent their children to school, and produced both for themselves and for the market. Considering the universe of the pastoral world, we find that the oldest occupation of Romanian people, the one that defined the history of the nation, is sheep breeding. A disturbing, a special phenomenon, and a particular of the traditional pastoral life of the sheep breeding in Romania is and has always been the Carpathic transhumanza. This is practically the movement of the sheep from spring to autumn. This is the transhumanza means. The sheep herds of Romania, shepherded from the mountains village, have been oscillating from hundreds of years between the mountains posture and the plains, as I was sailing from one season to another, on well-established transhumance routes and distance of hundreds of kilometers, with a strictly functional role within the pastoral economy, and which the climate criterion of grazing places play an important role. On behalf of the association I participated and organized action regarding the nomination of UNESCO representative list of Romanian transhumanza as part of intangible cultural heritage of humanity, all culminating with the edition, together with the Roman Academy of Transhumanza, volume in Țara Loviștei in December 2023. So practically this is the research that we've done, and this is the final book that was coming from this procedure. In this, contributing to the maintenance and continuation of perpetuity and this phenomenon, which can be considered as integral part of the national heritage. What do sheep breeder want and faith that they have. The only thing that they want is that difficult and so wonderful, beautiful job does not disappear. So practically, we do not want this habit to be vanished. As all the others were saying, it's very important for establishing the environmental and also the I don't know, the helping to preserve the natural environment that we are living in. Considering that the Carpathian Mountains and especially our region, Țara Loviștei, represents an area where traditional products, Romanian food and popular custom are preserved with sanctity, in the spirit of continuing and preserving them, in the spirit of promoting everything that sheep and the area have been more and more beautiful for the knowledge and the national and also at European level. This winter, we started an action under the name Journey Through My Country, the Return of Traditions, Romanian Perpetuation from the Carpathian Mountains. Also, within the sheep farms up there in the mountains, there were being established gastronomical points where tourists are numerous and they are very delighted to know the life of the shepherds, and they are able to taste the wonderful traditional Romanian dishes in that area. These actions are the idea put in practice with great skills, enthusiasm, and skills by our mothers, wives, and daughters of the Romanian pastors. So we demonstrate, if it were still the case, the important and irreplaceable role of women, of the shepherds within the pastoral landscape of the Carpathian Mountains. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to our colleagues from Romania. Thank you very much, Constanza and Maria. And we work very much together. We look very much forward to working together to preserve the Carpathian transhumanza for the future generations. Thank you very much. Now, there's a little bit of a change in the program because our colleague from Italy will have to leave a little bit earlier. So we need to switch the second last presentation. And it's my pleasure to call upon Mrs. Caterina De Boni, transhuman shepherdess of sheep in the Dolomites, which is in the Oriental Alps of Italy, to speak about wool as employment opportunity for women, pastoralism in Italy. So, Caterina, we're looking forward to hearing and seeing you.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for this change. Because I have a daughter to take from school. Thank you. Thank you for. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Do you see the presentation?
Metti la presentazione.
L'ho messa.
Metti presentazione.
Sì,
ma metti che si veda solo la presentazione, non tutte le altre cose.
Only the presentation. Oh signore.
In alto in mezzo, in alto in mezzo.
In
alto, più su. In mezzo.
In
alto in mezzo.
Sì, nuova condivisione.
No, in alto in mezzo, presentazione sul tuo... Vabbè, lascialo così, dai.
Sì, magari...
Vuoi metterlo tu? No, in alto in mezzo, nuova condivisione.
Vabbè, vai.
Sorry. I hope you can see it.
Yes,
so,
we can see it. Please go ahead, Caterina. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm a shepherd. I live in the North Italy, in the Friuli, Venezia Giulia region, in the northeastern part. I have been a sheep for more than 15 years, and I work with my husband farm. But I play a decisive role as I take care of everything, as more of you, from bureaucracy to managing the flock, taking care of the house and my daughter. So I believe that the family farm is a good solution for us women who can manage both work and home. In Italy, 30% of farm are led by women, but officially the other are run by men, but are supported by the mental and physical work of women. So this is very, very important. So I keep around of 1,000 sheep of Bergamo breed. We breed the meat, livestock, especially destined to the Muslim market, practicing the year-round wandering grazing, as the most of shepherds in North Italy today. So therefore, we don't have a fixed shelter for our animals, but every day, like in Romania, I think, throughout the year, we graze our herd outdoors, traveling many kilometers in the Dolomites, in the high mountains in the summer, and in the plains in winter. Nomadism allows us to survive better than sedentary shepherds because we have fewer expensive to feed the animals, and we consume very little water. But okay, the work is harder, but environmentally, our is the most sustainable activity among all in the context of animal husbandry. I show you my animals in the mountain and in the Dolomites and in the plains. If you would like to know more about my story as shepherdess, I like to suggest you my first book entitled At Sheep Space, The Journey of Transhumant Shepherdess. I hope this book can be translated from Italian into many other languages. But regarding new opportunities for women pastoralists, I want to tell you about wool, about sheep wool. In Italy, the availability of wool is abundant. Unfortunately, in Europe, the wool is considered special waste, category 3, and the shepherds are often forced to dispose of this wool at their own expense. So many shepherds let it rot in the wild. This is not acceptable. But slowly, many small handicraft realities are emerging in Italy. And several studies financed by the European Union have been carried out, and some cooperatives are created. We have a lot of breed of sheep. We have more than 65 breed of sheep in Italy. So these projects are almost always led by women and represent an interesting prospect for both the development of female entrepreneurship and the use of sheep wool, by reason of the originality of the Italian fashion, Sarah Mancelli talked before, made by talent, mastery, and notes all over the world. I show in this, I like to show you some examples of wool reality here in Italy. This is Aquilana in the south, in Abruzzo. This wool is colored by dye plants, with dye plants. Oops, sorry. Okay, in the north we have Spinrad, Les Tisserlands in the north. In the center, Fattoria La Rocca, always with the dye plants. And this is a beautiful project of scatter manufacturing in the Dolomites, Elbeck manufacturing. So this is my wool. These are my works, and this is my friend Enya Visentin, an artist. This is the wool project international project about an investigation about breed of sheep, quality and use of wool, job opportunities for women in the rural areas. This is another project, sheep project, okay, a study about the potential use of the wool of some Italian sheep breeds. This is another project, wool sheet project, 5 countries involved. But I ask the international community to use all available resources to promote the use of sheep's wool in clothing, in furniture, as in the industrial and in the agricultural sector, in a perspective of upcycling and sustainable use of waste wool, and to promote the use of dye plants in the textile sector. Putting the close attention to promote only the real green and not the fake green project. And I suggest to include the teaching of knitting and weaving in school programs as fundamental subject for the development of manual skills and the promotion of children's mental well-being. The first action that should be implemented is the creation of wash points, especially in Italy, that are very, very few. Best using natural ways to wash the wool. For example, the microbial scouring or fermentation with rainwater. I ask if this method is used by some of you. So I would like to conclude with the shepherd. As has already been cited by other women before me, I would like to remember here a woman pastoralist, Agitu Ideo Gudeta. Agitu had fled Ethiopia because she was a political activist. She was rebelling against land grabbing in Ethiopia by the military on behalf of international companies. She came to Italy and she started a goat farm in the Trentino region of Italy. But she was murdered from a collaborator of Ghanaian origin. So I will remember Agitu as a woman who was not sufficiently protected by the community, who found herself alone, who died at the hands of a man. But I propose an international day of pastoralist women, where she can be remembered as symbol of courage, strength, freedom, capacity of entrepreneurship, together with other women worldwide who have been murdered or are obliged to suffer violence at home or in the workplace and continuing to endure in order to survive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katarina, for all these images. Thank you for also bringing the shocking example of the fate of Agitu, of violence against women, which is horrible, of course. Thank you also for basically telling us that wool is not a waste, that we want real green and not fake green, and we love the Dolomites. We are with you. Thank you very much, and looking forward to be in touch with you until International Year of Pastoralism.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come to our last presentation of today, and it's my pleasure to ask Mrs. Helga Hager from Austria, from Tyrol, a goats herder and dairy woman in the Vals Valley in Tyrol, one of the founders of the School of the Meadow and partner of the mountaineering villages in Austria, goat herding with support from volunteers to preserve the cultural landscape in the Tyrolean mountains. So please, Helga, the floor is yours for the last not least, for the presentation.
Last not least.
Yeah.
Welcome from Austria. Helga is speaking, but now after the presentation of Spain, maybe I think about to move to Spain in the future with my girls. So now. I have alpine rare goat breeds. You can see a little bit about it. People call me Goats Helga. The next, please. We live in the mountaineering village Pfalz. It's a valley in Tyrol in Austria, and it's between Innsbruck and the Brenner border. And and the Alpine Convention is the roof of the mountaineering villages. When I speak about my Alpine summers or my work, when I was a young girl, I worked as a dairy maid until 1984. Then I had a big break, and 2011 I started again. And actually, I work with mostly with volunteers, also participants, guests, family, and friends. They help me also on my work, and I'm hopefully I start in May in my 20th Alpine summer. My volunteers are women. It's realizing a dream for the women because they stay from 10 days until 4 weeks. Normally they spend their holidays to work for food and lodging. So the question is, why the women do this? It's the volunteers, they're realizing really a dream, and finally they can live and with goats. They stay in the nature, and they can learn a little bit about our cheese production. And I can say the women became more fitness, health, and resilient. Yeah, we have a lot to do in our Alpine pasture. We have to milk the goats, we have the cheese production, then also we have the herding the goats, and I do with people goat hikes. In July and August, we have a lot to do in the mountain meadows. When I speak about my I can say a little bit a new profession since 2012. I started hiking with goats and people, and now it's a little bit of occupation because I like it very much. You can go with deaf people and children, and also it works also with companies, and it's a good business now for me. Thank you that you give me a voice to speak about my challenges. Never have. I didn't speak about my challenges. Everything was Heideland. It was so good. So now I'm a woman over 60. So of course you have physical challenges and other challenges. I saw the woman from Hungary. Also, she has a lot to do with less bureaucracy and technology, because also everything is have been arrived also in the Alps. We have the climate dangers, and actually also wolves have been arrived in our region. I started as a single woman with great ideas and a lot of heart and soul. and to revitalize our family Alp. But I didn't forget that after 30 years, when I come back, that thinking patterns still are present in the Alpine valleys. I had to deal with a lot of hostility, intrigues, and envy. But now I can say, since 2 years, it's getting better, and you can see what kind of shoes I need. I hope you can see it on the presentation. We have a Tyrolean forest love without love for goats. You understand what I mean? We stay in the Natura 2000 protected area. It's a nice place. We have a grey alder forest and also a spruce protection forest. So this law is only for goats, not for cows, not for sheep, only for goats. The next, please. Yeah. It's forbidden to enter the project areas for goats. So not on the left, not on the right. But I have very good girls. My goats are good girls. Please, the video from 6 to 30, 33. Climate danger, before I haven't been afraid, but in last summer we had like a hurricane, and more and more I get worried about my herdswoman and animals.
The noise is a storm. Noise indeed.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm worried about the increasing power and speed of thunderstorms. I told you we had really like hurricanes, and normally our goats sensing the danger. Especially we have a lot of rock falls. We had, I hope not anymore. So, but in this case now, normally they do it. They can manage to come back to the barn, but last year it didn't work, and I was really worried about the goats and the herdswomen. But we can speak also for good things, and when I speak with my big income and the adventures of the mountaineering villages, I'm happy that I'm a partner of the mountaineering village because I have a really good cooperation with Alpine Club and Alpine Convention. I get nice Alpine guests and visitors. They have interest in nature and environment. I think the people, they like my goat cheese and also my goat hikes. And I get just a little bit of the funding for the mountain mowing. And I'm really happy as a woman with 62. I get a pension since 2 years. It makes it really easier to do all the costs for people and animals for hut. So I have a better life. But finally, I can say it only works with the volunteers and the women in our family in the last years. And we have also men in our place. We have I can say I get the help and a lot of support of the School of the Mountain Bester. Is our association. We founded in the year 2016, and we teach people to do something on the mountain meadows, to milk the goats, how we do produce the cheese. So everything you can find in the internet about us. And if you work as a single woman like me, you happen to be proud to ask for help, because you can't manage everything on your own. So my question for the future, I'm not young anymore. What's happened for the future? If we stopped working in the mountain baster, we would lose so much. We would lose high quality alpine products. We lose our biodiversity. Maybe we haven't got any more a school of the alpine mountain baster. And also we lose our community. And for me, it's a big thing when I think about alpine baster without goats. As we should not forget, goats keep alpine basters in optimal conditions, and this since maybe 100 or more years. And I think about all the unfulfilled dream of the women. They help normally. They can't stay in their holiday on an alpine baster. But I don't want to see. I don't want to see in our beautiful place in the Pfalz Valley wilderness or maybe vacation villages. But I'm positive, and I hope we can preserve our alpine baster culture. Thank you.
Very much, Helga, for your wise words and for overcoming the deficits of the human nature. We will need it to also meet the challenges of climate change, as you have correctly said. So, now we have a little bit of time for questions, but maybe only very short for all.
Yeah, we're a bit running out of time.
We are running out of time, but maybe we take 5 minutes, if possible. So if we take 2 or 3 questions to one of our presenters. I see that we still have, we are already over time. We still have 80 participants online, which is incredible. But let's see if there are questions to one of our speakers.
The chat was very busy.
There was a very busy chat, so maybe there is no need for questions now. I don't even know how we would see that if somebody raises their hand. Do you see that if somebody wants to speak? Yeah, you would see that. So is there anybody out there who has an unresolved need to ask a question or who would like to say something at the end?
Maybe just Harold, just to build on what Helga said about having more goats, more sheep on the mountains. When we were doing the proclamation process for Shara as a national park, from a scientific perspective, they were really supportive about having more animals, domestic animals in the pastures, in the high maintenance pastures, because it's very important to keep diversity, but also having more people from the cities coming to these small households and supporting households, and not just economically, but just to see how this household work, and maybe repeating or having these lessons learned to other generations and other people. So maybe we have the next our next spot for a retreat over there at Helga's house. Yeah. We can buy the shoes.
There are a couple of questions in the chat for Helga. I'll just read it.
Yeah.
So first, what is the sustainability plan, especially that you say that you're getting older and may not be able to work anymore in the Alps in Austria?
Yeah, if I understand right, it's really because now my grandfather died with 90 on the Alpine base, so I have nearly 30 years. But it's really thinking about it. But my place is very important. So I hope maybe for my niece, maybe. Hopefully, I'm not. I'm looking forward, but
some years ahead.
Yeah, I hope we can see in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. There is one more for you. How do you get to manage all these with the family and other activities? How do you organize yourself? Do all these taking care of the family?
Yeah, it's really a big question, but I have a good organization and normally one until two women they stay with me on the Alpine Bester, the volunteers. So and the School of the Alpine Bester, we manage it with the the teacher of the Alpine Besters. And also my daughter Christina, my daughter Teresa, my sister, and also my mother, they help us. And yeah, you haven't to be proud to ask for help.
It's clear. But how does
it's clear? Yeah, it's clear.
But how does it work? I mean, if I want, for example, to spend 1 week with you, I come there and then I support you, and then we cook together. We do the morning from day to night, from dusk till dawn.
Yeah, it works. New volunteers these days a week, and normally with one other volunteers together, so to learn from another. So it helps me a lot if they work with the goats to the special place that I don't get problems with the project region or areas. So and another woman helps in the barn and in the so it's I think it works after 1 week, and I can say I'm really happy to have my regular volunteers every year. Now I have really a staff, and I have I have a plan, like in a hotel when the guests are arriving. So I have my volunteers, women, and now I'm really happy. I had at winter time I had 2 until 3 times asking for women to help me.
And how about authorities, especially local ones? Do they come to your household and just ask you, do you need any support? I mean, not maybe just financial support, but what kind of challenges you're facing this year? How can we help you locally?
No, mostly they found me about my homepage.
Mm-hmm. That is also shared here by the Alpine Convention colleague. So for everyone who is interested, I think they can click here.
So really, and we have a lot of I think we have been many times on television because I'm a single woman, and also my other profession is a sommelier. So it makes me interesting, and it helps a lot because the mountaineering villages files as we started. And more than 10 years ago, the awareness is getting more. So people, they are interested on the nature, and they look in the internet and look for Alpine Bester, and everybody found Helga. So it's easy for me, and now really I'm happy that I have enough volunteers, because it wouldn't work without, because it's a lot of costs, and I've only the most expensive part of my volunteers, women, is the tax consonant. You understand what I mean? The tax consonant?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Consultant.
the consultant. This is the most because they work for food and lodging, but it's not easy everything to do.
Okay, very good. I think that I think we had a very long but very fruitful and nice, inspiring discussions. You can find, because there are many questions, we had a very active chat as well. Many people in the chat, and all the presentations, if the presenters agree, and I hope they do agree, will be found on our website in 1 or 2 days, so you can then look at it again. We're going to conclude now. I just wanted to say that we always, or I, after 20 years of United Nations or more, always thought that United Nations can be a little bit top-down or far away from the people or far away from the reality on the ground. Today I saw that it can be different as well. It took a room full of women to convince that to manage that. And also many people outside. I hope there are also some men online on this about more than people. We're maybe gonna check that. What was the gender balance of our audience of this fantastic event? So I think this connection, it worked really well. We had some problems with the connection with Laura, which was a pity, but for the rest, I think it was great. And we had experiences from Carpathians, from the Caucasus, from the Alps, from the Pyrenees, from Spain, from Italy, from Apennines, and some people in New York even. So greetings and thank you to everybody out there, and greetings to everybody here in the room. Thank you very much for this event, and let's stay, keep on going until 2026 and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
An applause to everybody.